Right. So in the last lecture we have seen about test-ng, right? So in this section we will concentrate on data driving from external source, right? So when you are actually working, you might have different test environments where you are actually going to test your website. Okay, so they will not be giving you the actual public URL which is available on the internet, right? You have your own testing URL where you actually work and make sure your website or application is working as per expected. Then they will deploy the code from your test URL to the actual URL which is on the web. Okay, that's how the industry works. So you will get a test environment URL and kind of things. Okay, and they might be changing for every release. Okay, for this release they might be giving you one test environment. For the next release they might be changing the URL. Okay, these are the conditions which might occur, and I hope you all face the situation. And also credentials, usernames, passwords may keep on changing, right? So for example, you have to log in into an application and thereafter you need to perform some n number of operations, n number of test cases, but for all those there is a common username, common password. Okay, so if you keep on writing that password and password credentials for your test case every time, if tomorrow if there is a change in the password, might be that got logged or might it got expired. Okay, or if tomorrow there is a change in the test URL where you need to test. Okay, will you go and update in all the test cases where you have written? If there are 100 test cases, will you go and update the 100 times the password and the test URL? There should be some central mechanism where all these are defined as a global parameters, and all the test cases should pick those data from that global file. And tomorrow if something changes, I can go and just change the global variable so that all the test cases will get updated, right? Because my all test cases are pointing to that global variable, right? So if I just tweak that, if I just change that, it will automatically reflect everywhere. Okay, so that's how you need to, make a magic here. Got it? So how to maintain that globalized file, and how can we use it across our test cases? So that's one challenge. So let's see how can we achieve it in Selenium, but there is no Selenium API which can do it for you. So Selenium API is only basically to get web objects, web access only. So these kind of parameterization and we will do with the help of Java. So you need not panic about it. There are very simple steps. Properties class. There is a class called properties with which you can do this globalized parameterization, and that is the agenda in this section which we are going to discuss, right? So uh, so we have seen this in the previous section about test-ng. And okay, this is something like user ID generation. Here we have used the parameterization from the test-ng. Okay, with the data provider annotation we have done it. That's cool. That's its test case dependent parameters. Okay, so for all the test cases, these now we are handling common parameters across all the test cases. If there are any test cases which are specific, sorry, if there are any parameters which are specific to the test case, you can handle that with a test-ng data provider. But if there are some parameters which are common across all the test cases, then it's not good idea to write for every test case. We should write in a global, right? So that concept, if we start talking now, and let me pick a test case for you and show you how it works. Right, install software, I am the first. Okay, let's take this and say login. Okay, this, right? So you want to use this in your test case, but in general you will not at all use login for each test case. You will write somewhere and you will just call it for all the test cases. Okay, you don't write the code every time for all the test cases. Enter user ID, enter password, driver.get URL, and click and open, go to the website. You will not write this in practical. See, these are common steps: opening the browser, entering the URL, and username, password. This is common, which is across all the test cases. You will write it somewhere and you use this method across all the applications. And tomorrow if there is something change, you will change the login method, it will affect all, right? So right now let me design a proper login method with the help of global parameterizations, and later on we will I'll tell you how to place it, this method somewhere, so that you can call it across all the test cases. Okay, so this is a main important concept in framework building, remember. So the test ng with the last section, you are 30% good to go for a framework design. Okay, you have seen how to run the scripts in a batch, how to use different annotations, groups, parameterizations. You will using all these as part of your framework design. So 30% of work is done in the last section, and we are going to deal 30% more in this section. Okay, that is data driving. Okay, so that's pretty much about the introduction, what I'm going to talk about this section. So in the next lecture, we will actually start this login method implementation with the help of global parameterization, right? So let's begin that in the next lecture. And yeah.